Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual chapter for August 2026. My goodness, Karen, the time is flying. I am Michael Watson, of course, and I am joined by my co-host, Karen Hand.
Hi there. Good to see y'all. Thanks for joining us.
Lovely to see you tonight, Karen. And we've got a couple announcements and things that we usually take care of here at the beginning of the hour. So I want to leave we're going to talk about the galaxy of the stars in just a little bit, but I'm going to hold that back for the last thing in the announcements. But I will mention that, let's see, next month on the 8th of September, right here at the same Bat Channel, Bat location, we're going to have Grant Offenberger as our guest, and he will be talking about cults and particularly who's vulnerable, how do they do what they do, what can we do, by the way, as therapists and change workers and stuff, to support people who have had cultish experiences, and how you might start one of your own if that's something you have an interest in as well. So I think that's going to be exciting. In October, the 21st through the 25th of October, 5 days, is the next Certified Master Trainer training. So for any of you who have an interest in, certified hypnotherapists, and you have an interest in becoming a master trainer through IACT or IMDHA, that will be coming up then. And all you need to do is, of course, contact the office in order to register for it. Or there's a place online, of course, and you'll be getting some things in your email from time to time as that date draws closer. And in November 14th and 15th, the Certified Stress Management Consultant program as well. If anybody wants to get credentialed as a stress management consultant, this will be the opportunity for you to do that. Those things are coming up soon. Right now, there is a call out for presenters for the Hypno Expo, which is not until May, of course. We've just shortly gotten done with the last one. But it's going to be May 21st through the 23rd, and speaker proposals are being accepted until September 1st. So if you have an interest in speaking and at the conference in Florida, now would be the time to get your proposals in. And the easiest way to do so many of these things is to call the office. I'm going to put this stuff in the chat room, by the way, after I stop talking and get a chance to do that. But the phone number, of course, is 570-869-1021. And, they can help you with any of those things. So, Karen, do you have any particular announcements before you've got, what's happening with Canada here?
The Canada Hypnosis Conference is coming up October, the last weekend in October, 24th maybe. Boy, I should have had that right off the top of my head. The Canada Hypnosis Conference, I'll be keynote speaker, and I'm really looking forward to that. Hypnosis happens. So it's going on in Toronto. Barb, who is putting that conference on, Barb Davies, has had a little trouble with the hotel for some reason. And so ticket prices are kind of up in the air, or hotel room prices are up in the air. There's something up in the air. So that isn't answered on the website at the moment. But she does have the speakers up, and she has everything up. And so if you're interested in going to Toronto, do join us there at the Canada Hypnosis Conference. It's good for her to get that thing rolling again, because it was gone. It was lost during COVID, and reviving that is a good move for Canada and the people up near Toronto. So that's what's coming up for me, Michael.
All right. Well, then we might as well talk about the Galaxy of the Stars.
Okay.
So the Galaxy of the Stars is coming up. This time the theme is Defying Gravity. I know we borrowed it a little bit from The Wiz, but...
No.
What the heck? They stole it from us first. We actually had the idea several years ago. And, but what can we say? We'll let them use it if they want. But it is September 12th and 13th. It's a 2-day event. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Galaxy, we do it twice a year. It's a 2-day event with 4 speakers. So each day you get 2 of the folks that we really recognize as being, some of the finest available to you. And they've got some great material. This time at the Galaxy, like I said, Defying Gravity, we have Melissa Tiers back on the IACT IMDHA stage once again. It's been a while since since we've seen her around here. So we're all quite excited about that. She is the opener of the program. By the way, the weekend is $139, and if you register either tonight or tomorrow, you still get the early registration deadline, which makes it only $109, so you can save some bucks. But it's 2 days. The whole thing is recorded. You'll get a flash drive at the end, or a download if you prefer to get it that way. You just let them know when you register how you want to do that, so that any of it, if you miss some of it, or if you just want to see it again and again and again, and when you hear who else on it, you'll probably want to see it again and again. So you want that flash drive, or however you get it as well. So anyway, $139 all in if you wait till the day after tomorrow. But it starts out with Melissa Tiers, who's going to talk about practical neuroscience, followed by Jonathan Altfeld, who's going to talk about how transformation presenters move attention, emotion, and action. So how to be influential in your presentations, and I suspect, knowing Jonathan, that if you can read between the lines, you'll also understand how to apply this directly to work that you do in hypnosis, for example, as well. So I think that's going to be some great stuff. Followed by me. Oh my God, I better get ready for this. And I'm going to be talking about transforming beliefs and values, which is keys to evolutionary hypnosis. So cool processes for that. Finally, followed at the last but not least, Sunday afternoon, Jamie Smart, who is here with us this evening, and his topic is "There's no such thing as resistant clients," and that's going to be really exciting as well. So there we are. I will put these things, like I said, after I just get off the microphone. I'll put these things in the window as well, so that if there's links you need to download, or whatever it is, I will put a link for registration for the Galaxy, which might be helpful for you as well. So there's that. Yeah. Well, there we are.
There you go.
Okay, so it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for,
Thank you all for coming.
yeah.
We'll see.
Yes, as Milton Erickson once bravely said, "I'm so happy to see you." So we are here, and we do have Jamie Smart as our guest. I'm going to introduce him in a little while, but for the next 15 minutes or thereabouts, while we're getting warmed up, I've got a short topic to share with you. Karen, is there anything I'm leaving out before I get into this?
I really don't think so. I would just like to say that tonight I get to sit back, put on my learning trance, and just really take in everything from these two masters. It was Jamie Smart who first introduced me to NLP way, way, way back with language cards. And I got an email from him once a week or once a day or something with a new language pattern all the time. It was so fascinating to me. And so I just want to fangirl on that for a moment. And Michael Watson, we have these two masters tonight. So let's sit back and really soak it all in and take down when it's going to be replayed, because this may be one that you'll want to go back and replay. Just say it. So
You just activated a really lovely memory for me, Karen, and that is way back at the beginning. Of course, this would be better to be my part of my introduction to Jamie, but way back at the beginning, the language cards. I remember presenting at a workshop in Hinckley. And I remember Jamie sitting on the side of the room with a big yellow legal pad, working on deck 2 or deck 3 or deck 4 or whatever of the card series you had been doing at that time. Yeah, there's Karen's got one of them.
Oh, let me just say this real quick so that these can go on camera too. There's one of those original salad deck cards, right? Or card decks. A person may not know blank. A person may not know that Jamie Smart and Michael Watson are two of the greatest in our business, and boy, are we lucky to have them here tonight.
Well, that's lovely to hear. By the way, from my work wife, you'll get your check. You know.
Well, everyone knows what I say is true.
Yeah, you know, Karen, we've been doing this for about 10 years now. it's just amazing to think about the virtual chapter. Those of you that are talking about starting a chapter, and it's relevant to what I'm going to talk about in just a moment here, because sometimes you get clients, don't you? That would be a good place to full stop. Sometimes you get clients, don't you? And they'll come to you with things that are really fluffy, like I want my life to be happier, or I want my life to be meaningful. And I'll tell you, it's curious that something that I've noticed recently. By the way, my husband is retired. I'm pointing to him through the wall. Is retired, and I remember when he came home from work for the last time, thinking, "Gosh, what's he going to do now?" and by the way, and how will it affect me? I do remember that was in that consideration. But we live our lives usually with something something to do, and we do it on the regular, and then once in a while, it's like, oh, now what? What's the thing? What's the thing that I'm here for? Have any of you ever had, besides me, a client who showed up and said, I want to know how to have a more meaningful life? You ever hear fluffy stuff like that? And it's interesting because a meaningful life is a real curious thing to me. It occurs to me, first of all, I've got to tell you, and that's primarily meaningful is where I'm headed. But notice that it is a nominalization. I don't know what a meaningful life is. It's a very interesting phrase. And if my client says I want to have a meaningful life, I might talk to them about studying music because, that's what would give meaning to me. So I know there isn't a universal, and that is as individual as the individuals involved. Or I'd like to have a more satisfying life, or I'd like to have a more prosperous life. Any of those things. So just a reminder about nominalizations is a nominalization. This is English grammar, right? A nominalization is something that stands in as a noun for something that is in fact actually a process. Having a meaningful life is something that you do. You can't put it, if you can't put it in a wheelbarrow, the truth of the matter is it's probably, a nominalization. Although, by the way, I can imagine having a meaningful life in a wheelbarrow. It does seem to be possible, but that's that's beside the point. So I want to have a more meaningful life, and so where we've got to start out with is getting clear about the fact that we don't know. By the way, I'm as blurry as a Bigfoot at the moment, but I know that will adjust if I zoom in. There you go. No, maybe not. It will adjust in a minute. Anyway, I just threw us. We've got to look at what is our criteria for meaningful? What are we actually talking about? Occasionally, hypnotists, I think we make this mistake. A client says something to us to that effect. I want to have a meaningful life, or I want to be more satisfied, or whatever it is. And without realizing that we're hallucinating, we start to find ways to offer them what we think will satisfy that outcome, not even realizing that we actually don't know until we start asking the questions. So just curiously for a couple of minutes, I'm wondering, and feel free to just shout it out, turn on your microphones, write it in the chat room, whatever you want to. But what are the criteria that you would use to determine whether your life was meaningful? Don't all go at once, though.
Satisfying.
With purpose.
With purpose. Oh, great. By the way, and of course you do understand, right? If you say to me, because I'm an NLP guy, and I've been vaccinated with this particular thing, if you say that, I'm going to say, well, with what purpose in particular are you interested in pursuing, right? So we've got to somehow or another get some clarity. A magic word for the evening, by the way. We've got to get some clarity into it. So with purpose, it's a good start. By the way, some people would say a meaningful life would be one where you produce a lot, or would be one where you raise children, or I'm trying to think where you get advanced degrees, or where you make a real impact in the world by being a political figure, or make a bigger impact in the world by not being a political figure. There's another possibility, right? So so there are those. What else do you have?
Carol had her hand up. What's your idea, Carol?
Well, whatever makes a meaningful life for me has to include all of my values being in coordination and working well together.
Nice.
And then I can layer stuff on top of that. So, and one of my high values is fun. If it ain't fun, I ain't doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and does fun make it meaningful?
Because it is one of my values, it does.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, great. Yeah. So you're by the way, you're anticipating me. I love it, because what you're saying is a meaningful life is one that satisfies your values, right? Is that fair?
That's it. Yeah.
And that's absolutely wonderful. It's kind of where I'm headed. So I'm gonna get there again, in a couple of minutes. There's another way that people talk about it, and I think somehow it's interesting. They say, "Do I have a purpose? What's my purpose in life?" That's really an interesting one, because I'm not quite sure whether it's a metaphysical question, by the way, or who is it that would assign you purpose? It sounds almost theological to me, unless it's or it might be, what is the purpose and that's a word that Lisa used. It might be, what is the purpose that I am pursuing in my life? And by the way, as Carol mentioned, it needs to be one that reflects your values, doesn't it? That if you say, this is my purpose. So I remember a lot of people, it was maybe, probably 40 years ago. I was at a seminar that was run by David Gordon. Some of you know him. He's early days central core of neurolinguistic programming with Bandler and Grinder and Gilligan and the gang when they were, first putting things together. And he wrote a book that many of the folks among our ranks know as Therapeutic Metaphors and How to Construct Metaphors in Therapy. He's the first significant author in the NLP world that was doing that work, and it was pretty good. So he came to the seminar. I had to go see him, and he was talking about purpose. What is your purpose in life? And one of the things that he mentioned, I think this is a really interesting way to find it if you don't know. See, if you know what your purpose is, then, well, for God's sake, why are you sitting here? Let's go. Let's get out there and do that. But if you don't, or if you're wondering if you have one, David provided something that I thought was really interesting. He suggested that what we do, he got a big green board in the front of the room. That's how old it was. A green board in the front of the room. And he asked his demonstration subject to identify 3 examples of times when they felt the most alive. That was his particular phrase, was when you really felt the most alive. And just curiously, as you think about that now, if you were to make a list from those 3 things, Lisa, can I pick on you for a minute? Do you mind? Just a little.
I don't mind. I can take it. Go ahead.
Okay, and I'll be gentle. But if you think about this, so I said, think of a time when you felt the most alive. It doesn't have to be by the way, among the many times that you felt really alive. Let's say it that way. Do you got something that comes to mind?
Well, when you said that, it occurred to me the times that I've felt most alive have been when I've been the closest to death. Right after that,
Oh, wow.
I felt, oh, wow, this is what it feels like to really feel alive, right?
Uh-huh.
Like if you just missed
Yeah.
a car crash, or, if you did get into some serious trouble and then went, oof, I feel alive now. Oh, lightning. When lightning comes near the house or near me, I feel, once that rush is over, that's when I feel most alive.
Once the rush is over and you know that you have survived.
Yes.
Okay, it's an important distinction, by the way, because if you're like into the scary part, then then that's a different deal, right? But yeah, so you have this feeling of I am alive, and maybe thank God that I'm alive. There was a moment when perhaps that wasn't going to be true any longer, or whatever it is, and now with the relief, I'm okay. I'm safe, by the way, is an interesting thing to think about what follows that, right?
Yeah.
So there's just one of the things that comes out of that event is you're remembering a specific time when that happened?
Lightning just the other day.
Okay.
Came so close, and after I realized that it wasn't going to burn my house down, I went upstairs and looked, and that I could really feel alive.
Yeah. So there's that sense of relief, that sense of safety, that sense of survival, that sense of dodged a bullet. However you think about that. So this is an interesting list, right? And if you were to think of about two or three others, so do you got something else, something that you do maybe? And I don't know, by the way, if it's teaching or if you're over that.
No, it really is. When
Yeah.
when I'm where you are in the front of the room and people are following along and I know that I'm making my point, that is a feeling of really being connected and alive.
Okay, great. So when you're in that mode, right?
Yep.
So feeling connected and
Mhm.
alive. I've heard another word now. So we've got this, I've survived, and I have this feeling of connection, right?
Yes.
And by the way, if we were to find a third example, you got another one of a time when you just really feel or felt alive.
It would still be a connection. It would still be with connection to somebody,
Okay. All right.
I think, yeah, connected.
Okay. I don't know what's coming. I mean, so something that's coming from me, and I'm not really trying to focus specifically on Lisa, so I don't mean to be, holding you there, but I want you to notice this. I'm thinking for me, I don't know why this is just what came to mind. Maybe because I was thinking about you and Sarasota and lightning, but somehow I also found myself in the middle of a drumming circle. And a sense of this kind of organic. There's that thing called connection again.
Mm-hmm.
In that way. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
drumming is a real great way to feel connected to 500 other people, because
Right.
we are this sound organism, that we're all a part of. Yeah. So you find out through these examples, right, of what are some things that are really essential criteria for that experience of aliveness. And then, and I bet you, and Carol, I'm wondering if you've got anything to add to that, because we were talking about values, and I'm looking for the bridge between those two things. That is, when you are satisfying your values, Carol, what does that feel like? What is it like to be you?
Well, one of the things that I really love doing is helping people understand themselves and each other. And when I see that's working for them and it's changing their life, I sing. My heart just sings, and that's when I'm the me I want to be.
I love that. I love that, and my heart sings. It's what a great phrase. And again, by the way, if I were the hypnotist and I were saying, Carol, I want your heart to sing, it might be that I don't really understand what I'm talking about. But these are Carol's words. So the lovely thing about that is, if I repeat them back to her, I know that she knows what they mean. Right. So that experience of aliveness. Then the question becomes, when you think about all the possible things that you could do, it's important to remember that these are elements of criteria that are going to make a difference in terms of whether you'll be able to get that feeling out of the work that you do. So for Lisa, it's teaching. For Carol, it's helping a person make a change in a way that is meaningful and powerful as well. And the singing heart being the internal thing. So yeah, so any place where you could accomplish that. So there's another choice, by the way, and the other choice is, you can use this and then figure out what's something that combines all that. The other choice would be, you could just pick a purpose. I don't even know if it matters what the purpose is, but here's the thing: if you pick something, it's worthwhile to just have something that you actually give a shit about, and then go for that. You know what I mean? That it matters to you, that you are doing it, and in that, I remember the Est people. They would say that you should live as though your life depends upon it. That's an interesting phrase. I would rather update the language. And what I would say is, get your purpose. Make sure that it fulfills your criteria. Look out into the future and see to it that in the doing of that purpose, you will be expressing your values. And live as though your aliveness depends upon it, because when you're doing that, right, that's the experience that you can have. So there we go. That's just the fastest run through of this idea that I could share with you in 20 minutes. But it's something that I really like. I'm quite fascinated, and where I said I was going, Carol, was I was going to talk specifically about what are your values, and how do you make sure that those values find expression in your life and in your experience. So lovely. There we are. So now it is 9:00, and I think it's almost time for us to introduce you to my wonderful friend. I've got to tell you, and this comes up from time to time. Jamie and I don't see each other very often, but we once in a while, just a little bits of correspondence back and forth. But a number of years ago, I was new to Florida, and I was teaching a hypnosis class with a guy who had just taken some training from Richard Bandler. And he sort of, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. He came to me for what I would call a remedial education in neurolinguistic programming. And, so I taught him NLP, but he had just moved here from the UK. And when he was in the UK, I'm not sure if he had actually been in a class of Jamie's, or somehow he was aware of this guy that I didn't know. And he said, you got to talk to Jamie Smart. And oh my gosh, it was such a wonderful thing. And Jamie brought me to England on a number of occasions, and I continued to work through Salad for quite a while. It was one of the most important professional moves that I have made in my life, and one of the most wonderful, fulfilling experiences that a person can have. And I especially remember how well and warmly I was received by Jamie and the gang there. And one day, some of you have heard me say this before, things were changing over there, and and there was a new guy in charge, and I remember not being quite sure how things would unfold. And I'm usually such a calm, easygoing guy. So I went running to Jamie one day and I said, Jamie, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. And Jamie said to me the weirdest thing. I got to tell you, it is the weirdest thing. He said, Michael, you're just experiencing the effects of your thinking. Now, I've told you, and now I'm going to actually say this when I know Jamie is present and hearing me, but when I've told this story a few times before, I think I lied a little bit because I'm sure this wasn't true. But for a moment, while I was freaking out, and I said, Jamie, the sky is falling, and he said, it's just your thinking, Michael. I wanted to punch him, but only for a moment. So by the way, Jamie, since you're hearing this, please, if I ever tell you that the sky is falling again, say, poor baby, and then tell me the truth, okay? But here's my point. This statement from Jamie was one thing that so dramatically changed the way that I looked at the change work that we were doing. And at some point, Jamie came here to the States. He talked to an audience of people around my swimming pool. I remember a number of years ago. Lisa was there. You were there, yeah? That's right. That is so cool. And what a wonderful experience. And the thing that Jamie said when he was talking was to listen for a feeling. I remember, and I love that. So often when we're teaching classes and things, there are people trying to write down everything that we said because they figure if they get all the words, But Jamie's invited something different. Jamie is an experience, by the way. So Jamie, I am so happy to have you here with us this evening, and so looking forward to what you have to say. So welcome to the virtual chapter.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you for your beautiful words. And and I have nothing but warm memories of our time together in the UK and in Florida. But also, you're one of the people who I hold in such high esteem. And if you say, "Hey, would you come and do this thing or whatever?" I'm there because I it's really interesting to me to hear how something I said, albeit with poor calibration, uh, landed like a positive bomb in your life. Well, you've said the same to me, and I was the the thing I was thinking of was you said to me once, I don't remember when, it was a long time ago, but you said to me, somewhere in there, in you, is a being greater than you can imagine, seeking expression in this world. And I heard it. And I heard it not up here. I heard it in a way that touched the heart of my being and has stayed with me ever since and has informed me and guided me ever since. And it turns out, as it happens, that that's one of the things that's kind of fundamental to how I think about what we're going to be talking about tonight. This topic of if your clients really have all the resources they need, how come sometimes they seem to make them seem scarce? So I have some slides. Is it okay if I show some slides?
Oh, sure, sure. Before you
Okay.
start, Jamie,
Sure.
let me really quickly just I realized I didn't give you the proper introduction.
God damn it, Michael.
But the short version, I'm just going to let you know that Jamie has written some wonderful books, in particular one called Clarity, that I would encourage you to check out if you have an opportunity to. And I also know, so I hope that you're going to tell us a little bit somewhere in this unfolding. I know that you're working on a film project that's really kind of exciting, and I want to give you a chance to tell people what you are up to. The
Yeah,
idea of being able to reach an audience and change people's lives through through film
yeah.
is I think a wonderful thing as well. So I'm going to let it go there, and basically, Jamie, welcome. The floor is yours, and anything that we can do for you, or ask questions, or whatever you want, and you certainly can share your screen anytime.
Okay. Well, and thanks, Michael. And I'd love to make this very, very interactive. So I'll, talk and I'll tell stories and that sort of thing. But I love answering questions and I love just hearing what you guys think. And if I'm saying something and you're like, hang on a second, that's bullshit or whatever, come and tell me because I'm working on the basis. Like it's kind of interesting when I started exploring NLP, and stumbling across NLP was one of the coolest things that ever happened to me. Like I went on this incredible learning journey and feel very grateful for all of that. And one of the things I heard was that there are these presuppositions, which are things, they're not true, but if you behave as though they're true, then that can be useful. And I found that very useful. It shaped my communication. And then, so that kind of well, it's funny. I was thinking about this topic tonight. I like to prepare for things. So about about 3 hours ago, before I went to bed, I thought, I guess I better think about what I'm going to be talking about tonight. Because typically, if I've got a cool title, that's most of it. That's 80% of it. But sometimes I'm like, well, let's do a little more. So that's the title. If people have all the resources, why do they sometimes keep them so well hidden? Um, Milton Erickson once said, I don't have resistant clients because I don't try to get them to do anything. And as I was thinking about preparing for this session, I was thinking that quote has something to do with it, but I don't know what it is. What is it? What has it got to do with it? And then I realized what it was. And it's this. I don't have unresourceful clients because I don't ask them to draw upon anything they don't have. It just makes it really easy. Makes it really easy. I only I only get them to draw upon things which I know they have. It simplifies things. And so the thing Michael said, somewhere in there, in you, is a being greater than you can imagine, seeking expression in this world. What that kind of resonated in me is that there's something, if you stop and think about it, the fact that you're here listening, breathing, sitting or standing somewhere means a couple of things. One of the things it means is that you've evolved from a long line of creatures over millions of years, each of which has survived until breeding age and passed on their genetic material at least once on a planet where 90% of the creatures don't make it to breeding age. So that means you're the expression of the one of the longest product development cycles in history. Like you're built for reality. You're built for life on this planet. You come from a long line of ancestors who were living in conditions for the most part, pretty rough. Like life on Earth was pretty rough in a lot of ways until quite recently. I mean, even 200 years ago, it was a bit of a shit show. So the fact that you're here today means that you come from a long line of ancestors who were profoundly resilient, resourceful, and all that jazz, right? And the to me that's an expression of something, and we can think all kinds of things, right? And it's funny, I was when I first started exploring the work that I do now, I got into contact with some people who I thought had some funny ideas about things, and they were talking about principles for our experience, and they were talking as though these were true, and I was like, they're not true. This is just another belief system. It's just another belief system. I've been working for years with belief systems, and I said, listen, people can think anything and believe that it's true. People can think anything and experience it as true. It doesn't mean it's true. And so the person I was talking to said, so you're saying people can think anything and experience it as true? I said, that's right. He said, is that a fact? I was like, I think it is actually. I think it is. And he said, okay, so there's at least one fact. People can have a perceptual experience and experience it as a reality. And it seems to me that that's fundamental to the nature of our work, to the nature of change, to the nature of transformation. And I've worked with that notion for many years, and what it's kind of boiled down to for me these days is that there are two really valuable things people can discover. When I'm working with clients, I work on the basis that there are two really valuable things that a person can discover. One of them is how their experience is created. That thing, you can think anything, you can have any perceptual experience and experience it as a reality. It does people good to wake up to the truth of that, because almost inevitably when people are struggling, it's because they've lost sight of the fact of that. They've lost sight of the role that their own perception is playing in their experience. So that's useful for people to know. And then the other most useful thing I found kind of relates to the thing Michael said to me, which is I found that it's profoundly valuable for people to get a glimpse of who they really are. And when I talk about clients having everything they need, I'm working on the basis that who you really are is the source of everything you're ever going to need. And to put a button on it, there's a quote by uh, a cleric called Teilhard de Chardin, which I like to bastardize. My bastardized version is, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. we're one spiritual being having 8 billion human experiences, and who you really are is that one spiritual being. Who you really are is consciousness. And so, and by the way, I'm not asking you to believe that. I'm just saying that what I've noticed is that if I work on the basis that that's the case, my work gets way easier. It gets ever so easy. So I'd like to, rather than just telling you that, I'd love to do a coaching demonstration if anyone's up for coaching. So if you fancy some coaching, just type coaching and then one sentence or phrase saying what you'd like coaching on, and I'll look, if we have any volunteers, I'll look through them and then I'll choose someone. So anyway, let's look at the agenda for today. So we're going to look at, do clients really have all the resources they need? If yes, why is it sometimes such hard work finding them? What's going on when someone seems stuck, and what can you rely on to help them get unstuck and on track? What's your biggest leverage point as a therapist, coach, or change worker? And then life. I think we've covered the first three actually. So live coaching demo and Q&A. We're pretty much there. I have got material and prepared content as well.
You know what? You could I'll volunteer. I'm just getting started. Like I have keep putting it off. Like I'm getting my business started. So I'm just getting out there, promoting myself on Facebook. I'm having a hard time um talking to people face to face. Like I have no clients. I only have the people that I worked with for free during schooling.
When you say you're having trouble talking with people face to face, I can't help noticing that I can see your face and you can see mine. And so I'm wondering how this is an exception.
I guess it's like I know I should probably go join like the city chamber or like go to like a women's meeting or something, to go like actually meet people. And I just I don't.
Well, just before we start, can I have a chat with these guys and then I'll come back to you, Natalie?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to Natalie for about I don't know, 10, 15 minutes and we'll see what happens. But my modus operandi is I'm just going to kind of try and get her world and see what's going on there, because what I've noticed is that when people feel understood, they feel safe and they kind of relax. They feel safe to make changes. And I know that as I listen to Natalie, just between us girls, I have no idea what she's talking about. So I'm gonna do my best to find out. And I'm not gonna do my best to find out in any kind of fancy way. While I love questions and I'm known for asking sometimes very elaborate and strange questions. Some of the most powerful questions that I ask are more along the lines of, what do you mean? Or what you talking about? Or what's going on there? Or what do you make of that? Or that sort of thing. Because I just want to get her world. I just want to understand what's going on for her. Because my guess is, well, I'll give you guys a metaphor. I'll give you guys a metaphor, how it looks to me. So just to take a step back for a second. So we're is my assertion that we're each of us, we're walking around in an internally generated perceptual reality. Now, what do I mean by that? We've got eyes and ears and noses and all the usual, accoutrement. But it looks to us as human beings like we're looking out through our eyes at a world out there, like we've got windows in our head and we're looking out at the world through them. But believe it or not, that's not actually what's going on. What's going on is data is pouring in through our senses. And then our psychological and spiritual and neurological properties go, what must be out there for me to be receiving this data? And then it takes a guess and creates a 3D perceptual reality, moment to moment. And that's what we're walking around in. Now, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that to me, but that's really what's going on. They figured this out in the 1850s. So this is old, settled neuroscience. This is not fancy, new, weird stuff. This is old stuff. So we're walking around in this internally generated perceptual reality. And my metaphor for that is it's kind of like as we go floating down the river of life, we're on a raft. We're on a raft. And that raft is what we perceive as our reality. It's a map. It's a map of the world. The map is not the territory. And the map is good because it allows us to navigate, but it also holds our limitations, our perceived limitations. So my job, as I see it, part of my job is to get on the raft with my client, find the edge of it, put my arm around their shoulder, then jump off into the water with them. And then when we climb back on the raft, we'll see that the raft's different. Because the reason we need to find the edges is because the edge, just beyond the edges, are what they don't know, right? And the beautiful thing is we've each got a built-in evolutionary tool for finding the edges, to finding the unknown, and it's called curiosity. It's what you're genuinely curious about. So I'm going to be guided by what I'm genuinely curious about in my conversation with Natalie to find the edges of her world. And the funny thing is, in the process of doing that, with any luck, Natalie will have the experience of me being interested in her because I'm interested in her. And she'll have the experience of being understood to some degree because I'll understand to some degree. And what I found is that when people feel understood, they kind of relax. So the funny thing is, I'm going to be doing my best to build a steel man of Natalie's world. Now, a steel man is kind of the opposite of a straw man. A straw man is when you make a weak model of someone's position so it's easy to knock down. I'm going to try and make the best possible version of Natalie's position so that I can really understand it. So let's find out. Let's find out what happens. All right. How you doing, Natalie?
Well, good.
Are you,
Nervous.
I was going to say, are you feeling it? Did you suddenly start feeling a little bit nervous? I noticed that. I noticed that. Well, you can relax because I feel confident enough for both of us. It's all right. So if I could wave a magic wand, Natalie, or there was some like a miracle tonight, and you wake up tomorrow and everything's the way you want it to be in this domain, in your business and that sort of thing. How would you know the miracle had happened? Like for instance, if I come and see you in 6 months' time, I bump into you, I'm like, Natalie, how you doing? And you're like, Jamie, it's unbelievable. If it were any better, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm like, no kidding. What's going on? What's going on, Natalie? What would if things were absolutely wonderful, how would you know?
Um, well, I guess I would have clients and be helping people.
I love it. When you say you would have clients, how many clients would you have?
I don't know, at least like 10 a week.
Nice, and you'd be helping them?
Mhm.
You breathe, okay? Because what I'm noticing is you're holding your breath. And the thing about people when they hold their breath, their neurophysiology starts to go into a bit of a panic. So would you be able to just breathe, Natalie? And that way your nervous system will start getting the signal that you're safe. Because I'm in England, right? Like I'm thousands of miles a day, thousands of miles away. I can't do anything to put you in any danger at all. So yeah, so you want to help people. I like that. And as you sit here right now, what do you think would be useful for you in this?
I think to have more courage to just talk to people, to open up.
Oh, what are you afraid would happen if you opened up?
Hmm. Judgment, not being accepted.
What do you mean by judgment and not being accepted?
I guess the people that I have talked to about like hypnotherapy and stuff, there's like judgment around it and like they don't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I've noticed over the years, Natalie? People, people tend to be really interested in themselves and in finding solutions to their problems. And y- can I offer you just an interesting frame that you might find useful?
Absolutely.
If I'm chatting to someone and they're telling me about some challenge they've got or something like that, and I think I can help them with it, I'll say, I've got some experience with that kind of thing. Would you like some help with that? And then they say either yes or no, or they might say, "Oh, what do you do?" And then you can say hypnotherapy, and they go, "Hypnotherapy? I heard that that's just for people doing magic tricks in carnivals." You say, "Oh, where did you hear that?" Like, because here's the funny thing. If you're curious about what's going on for people, you can discover all kinds of wonderful things, regardless of what their starting point is. If someone's like, what kind of judgment have you had about hypnotherapy?
Just like that, it's like woo woo, or like people are scared because they've heard like, I don't know, maybe their religion and stuff, you know?
Yeah, well, here's a thought. What do you suppose would happen if you were just to engage with that? Like, because the funny thing is, Natalie, when someone's working with you as a client, they're going to have all kinds of funny ideas, right? Like I can think of one. I've had some clients who think that everyone needs to already be on board with what they do in order for them to be effective. That's a funny idea.
Yeah.
It's a funny idea. People will have all kinds of funny ideas, but Natalie, speaking to you as a hypnotherapist, you're kind of in the funny ideas business. Like funny ideas are your bread and butter. That's strange and limiting beliefs are the breakfast of champions, right? Like in a way, if you want to be in the hypnotherapy business, what you're signing up for is a daily helping of strange ideas, peculiar beliefs, uh, unhelpful preconceptions, uh, undermining presuppositions. Like that's your daily bread in the hypnotherapy business. So the fact that you've got people who are willing to offer you that straight out of the gate seems like a gift from the gods.
Never thought of it that way.
What happens when you think of it that way?
My mind opens up more to engage in conversation over it.
What do you notice going on in your body?
I still feel pretty nervous.
Hmm.
Um, guess there's really a fear of being seen because I keep thinking that this is going to be on their website and stuff. People are going to see this.
And when you say a fear of being seen, what are you afraid would happen if you're seen?
It's still judgment.
Well, I've got some good news and some bad news. Do you want the good news first or the bad news first?
Go with the bad news first.
People are going to judge you. My God, if you're out there in public, people have got all kinds of fucking ideas about what you should be like, what you should say, and what you shouldn't say, and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Have you met people? They're so judgmental. Oh, people, they're awful. It's that's they so judgmental. that's just par for the course. Yeah, that's guaranteed. If you think that success in your business either relies on finding a world where people aren't judgmental or presenting yourself in a way that is unjudgeable. Oh man, that's like two extra difficult jobs to do at a time when actually you could do with more easy stuff to do. Those seem like the two hardest jobs in the world.
Oh, when you put it that way, yeah.
Want to hear the good news?
Absolutely.
Uh, Nothing someone else thinks about you can hurt you. What other people think about you is of no consequence to you. I'm not saying you shouldn't, build a good reputation and do good work and that sort of thing. That makes sense. That makes sense. But there's nothing that someone else can think that can harm you.
Well, that does feel better. Makes me feel a little bit calmer.
Yeah. And the reason, well, here's the funny thing, Natalie. There's nothing anyone can think that could harm you because who you really are can't be harmed by anything in this world. The aspect of you that, for instance, like based on the conversation we're having, I assume that you've been inspired to train as a hypnotherapist and to help people, and that something in you is like that's something that is really meaningful. And my assertion is that the source of that sense of guidance and desire and longing and calling is beyond being able to be harmed by anything in this world. It's not vulnerable to anything in this world. And each of us, we grow up in a world where we have various spills and thrills and we get ideas about, oh, I shouldn't do this or I shouldn't do that or I don't want to get hurt. And I understand all that. But the source of guidance and direction that lies at the heart of your being, it knows, it can see the future. It can see the future. That's how it can guide you. And it's guiding you to transcend the things that you've been afraid of until now.
I can agree with that or feel that inside.
It sure is nice to be talking with you, Natalie.
I know I'm not talking a lot. Sorry.
No, I'm talking enough for both of us. It's nice to be talking face to face with you, so to speak. So, Natalie, would that be a good place to pause?
Yeah, we could pause there.
And then I could circle back to you at the end of the session. We could see what's cooking.
Okay.
Was there anything else?
No, no, I think just have a fear of being seen. That's really it. And I'm working on that.
Well, here's the funny thing. I wouldn't be at all surprised to find that even by the end of the session, you might notice that being seen isn't quite the fearful thing you thought it was. Because here's the thing, there's like, I don't know how many of us here, but we can all see you. And for all I know, like half of the people here are judging us like crazy. I know all of them are judging me for the stuff I'm saying, but impervious. It's fine. So thank you, Natalie. I'm going to take some questions and then we'll see where you are in a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
So the here's the thing I noticed in that session right away. Like before I started speaking to Natalie, Natalie put her hand up, and then I spoke to you guys for a little while. And then just as I was about to turn back to Natalie, I noticed a spike of anxiety in my chest, which didn't feel like mine. So I thought, oh, I bet Natalie's feeling a bit nervous. So when I got back with her, I said, how you doing? And she said, feeling nervous. And I like, I expected it, expected it. One of the things I was, I can't remember who it was. I wish I did remember who it was because it's a very pivotal moment. Or pivotable, a very pivotal moment. This guy who had trained with Milton Erickson, one of Erickson's students, and I was chatting with him, and he said, Erickson was good, and I was talking about my fascination with Erickson's language. And he said, "Yeah, Erickson was good with language, but that wasn't his main thing." I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, no." And he had the good sensory acuity, but that wasn't his main thing either. And I was pretty skeptical. I'm like, "Okay, Mister Milton Erickson student, what was the main thing?" And he said, "This guy could get into rapport with you at such a deep level on every channel that it was like he was sending a message that said, I see you. I see who you are. I see who you are, and I love who you are. Who you are is just fine. I don't need you to change a thing." And he said that faced with that kind of love and acceptance and appreciation, not even expressed verbally, like through a presence, through a being. He said, faced with that, people would just transform in alignment with their nature. And what I heard was that Erickson was getting into rapport with people at the level of identity, the level of who they are. And he was sending them a message saying, you're okay. You're okay. And it was a message that they weren't even receiving intellectually. They were receiving it in their body. They were receiving it in their being. And I heard he said that, and I was like, holy shit, that sounds true. I want to learn to do that. I want to learn to do that. So any questions about my conversation with Natalie or anything else, any of the strange assertions I've been making?
I think you just began to answer one of the questions that I was going to ask, except you answered it so pardon me, so elegantly. When we were watching you, because we're hypnotists, so we're watching you or listening to the conversation that you're having, and Karen, this is for you. What step were you on? What is it that? How do you sort of guide yourself through the process? Because I'm really clear that it's very I don't even know what the words to use. How do you move yourself through a process when you're working with a client?
Can I answer it in a few different ways
Please.
on a few different levels? So one of them is a very simple way of thinking about it, and uh, I I call it. I don't know if I can share screen properly. Just a sec. Let me master this technology. I call it the calibration model. And it's calibration, connection, education. Now, what I mean by that is calibration means watch and listen and sense, watch, listen, and feel to your client and to yourself. It's in fact, if you can only do one of them, pay attention to yourself because your nervous system is the instrument you're using to work with your clients. So you want that to be well calibrated. But ideally, you're paying attention to both. And you want to be feeling for a sense of connection with the other person. And not just with the other person, with yourself and with the richness and beauty of life. Like you want to be present to the fullness of the moment in a way. And then the third element of it is education, but in the original Latin sense of the word educe, to lead out from within. What I'm wanting to do when I'm working with a client is I'm wanting to make contact with that source of intelligence and beauty at the heart of their being and help make it easy for that truth within them to step more fully into their present awareness. So that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it, I was doing a coach training, and I did a coaching demo with someone. One of my students, a guy called Bear McKenzie, said, "Jamie, that was amazing. What I saw you do was this, and this." And I said, "Close. What I was actually doing was this, and this." And it was one of those things that was just the thing in the moment. And so I transcribed it and typed it out. So I thought I'd share it with you if that's okay. I just need to find it. It's on my computer somewhere. So if you can bear with me, no pun intended, for a moment. Uh, I'll walk you through it. And it'll be full of, by the way, of uh, assertions that look undefendable. Okay, so feel free to challenge me on any of them. Um, and either I'll be able to back them up or I won't. But there we go. Just a sec, nearly there. Drum roll, please. So I don't know if this will be big enough to see. Let's see. So, like I said to you guys earlier, I believe the two most valuable things a person can discover are how experience is created and who they really are. Now, I say discover, I'm not saying those are the two things you should tell them. I just noticed that if I'm setting my intention for them to have insights into that, then people often do. And I find that to be valuable. However, oh, I'm struggling. There we go. I don't know what my client should or shouldn't want, what they should or shouldn't do, what they should or shouldn't value or consider important. None of that's any of my business. I don't know any of that. However, I'm certain that my client has wisdom residing at the heart of their being. They're doing what makes sense at their current level of understanding. They're doing what makes sense at how they currently see the world. So I'll give you an example. Natalie came on and told us, "Oh, I know I should be, going to chamber or, doing all these things she should be doing." And yet she hadn't been until now. And I know that the reason she hadn't been is because it didn't make sense to. Like she may have, it's like, and we all know this, right? Like I used to smoke 40 cigarettes a day back in the day. And I would go to the doctor, and the doctor would say, "Do you smoke?" And I'd tell him, and the doctor would say, "Yeah, you shouldn't smoke. You know that? It's not good for you. And here's the stats." Now, here's the thing. If we were working on intellectual understanding, we just go, "Oh, holy shit, doc, no one told me that smoking was bad. I just won't smoke anymore." But that's not how it works. We change when we have insights and realizations that change the way we see the world and ourselves, right? So I'm working on the basis that people are always, always, always doing what makes sense to them, given how the world looks to them at their current level of understanding or their current understanding of reality. And they have an innate capacity for insight and realization, which is has a specific evolutionary purpose, which is to update their map of reality, their level of understanding, how the world looks to them. I know that an increase in their level of understanding will change what makes sense to them. So the world will look different once their understanding changes, once the world looks different. But the only thing that's going to do that is the insight that comes from within them, right? Like nothing I can tell them is going to do that. It's got to be their insight or realization. However, I can't give them an insight. It can only come from within them. So my job is to help create the conditions for that. And I do that by leading them into an insight-friendly space. Uh, However, while our destination is that insight-friendly space, I don't know how to get there. Fuck. It's because it's different every time. It's different every time. So I do my best to get their world because people feel safer when they know that you get them, and follow my sense of curiosity because curiosity has its own intelligence, and I find the edges of their reality where I can. And when we find our way into that insight-friendly space, I do my best to stay there with them for as long as possible. And I'm surprised and delighted when they reliably have the insights that make a difference to them. So that's another way of looking at it. So I'm on one of those steps. But in a way, those steps are really just a expression of something that's happening real time. Same with the calibration connection education. It's actually a whole form, real time emergent thing. But I find it personally, I find it useful to be able to make models of those things. So that's two ways of looking at it. I've got another way of looking at it if you'd like another. But how we doing?
Yeah, good.
Good, good, good. Any other questions?
Or
Paul,
transfixed, Jamie.
well, Paul typed in coaching, come to terms with grief, the loss of my wife, depression, and anxiety. I could do a session on that, Paul, for a few minutes, and it seems to me that that's really important and sacred, important and sacred topic, and I wouldn't want to shortchange you
Understood.
by doing that, by doing anything too fast. That's the only thing that concerns me. Um, so I'll throw it over to you. If you want to have a conversation that would probably be capped at about 10 minutes, I'm
Okay.
up for doing
Well,
it.
I think there's so many onions layers to this situation for me that it really is far-fetched to really ask, you know, to get, cut through the onion and get to the heart of the matter, to help me. Um,
You know, the thing that occurs to me, Paul, as I listen to you, like I have a partner who's the love of my life, and I imagine that if I lost her, I would be bereft. I cannot imagine such a thing being anything other than heartbreaking in the most real sense. And I imagine that it would take me time to come to terms with that. And even once I had, there would still be a wound that I would carry with me in some way for the rest of my life. And that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, that would be a touch point for me. And so while I'm not for a moment gonna suggest that I might cut through everything in 5 minutes, what I will say is that human beings have been falling in love, making beautiful partnerships and relationships, and then losing one or the other of those partners for millions of years. So you got this. You're perfectly safe. And that's not in any way to understate or diminish the importance and meaning and impact of your wife and what you've been through.
but the main thing is I'm not handling the situation well. I'm
Yeah.
see myself spiraling down. Did you ever see the movie Dead Ringers by any chance?
I did. William
Yes.
Cronenberg. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. And toward the end, where these two twins just kind of self-destruct and they're just, you know, going down the tubes with each
Mm.
other. I have the sense that that's happening to me now.
Can I ask you when your wife passed?
4 months ago.
Okay, so
A
the
year
first,
long, she had a year-long cancer.
yeah, that's very recent. In my world, that to lose someone who you love so recently, that's very recent. And my heart goes out to you, Paul. And I heard you say that you're not handling it. And I wonder, I find myself wondering how you would know that because I'm not sure that,
Well, I'll tell you, the main thing is now job one is to have something to eat.
yeah.
Is to eat. And there's nothing that I find appealing, you know,
Yeah.
nothing. And I
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to. I force myself to eat and occasionally, and I'm self-medicating, with beer.
Mm.
And I love beer, and I'm self-medicating with it. And that's the thing my stomach wants. You know, I said I want to turn a pivot.
Yeah, I missed the last thing you said, Paul.
I want to make a pivot. And I thought, well, I'm going to do that today, you know, and I'm going to have a breakfast,
Mm.
have cereal, and a good cereal I like with, some milk and all that. And I felt terrible afterwards. Terrible.
I mean, a couple of things occurred
Stomach.
to me, Paul. Like, as I listen to you, what I hear is that you're in a tough spot and you've also got a source of wisdom within you that's guiding you. I can hear that. And so you had some breakfast and then you felt terrible after. Maybe breakfast isn't the right thing. Who knows? Like
It's
but
better than beer. It's better than beer for breakfast.
I understand. I'm
You know,
not, s-
I mean,
I'm,
that's what my stomach wants.
I understand. I understand that the point I'm making, Paul, is that you might need to experiment to find out what suits you at this time. And all I want to say, because I know we've got very little time, but what I'd ask you, what I'd ask you to consider is, would it be possible for you to be just as kind and loving towards yourself at this time as you can? Like even like I can see that you've got real clarity on the fact that it's not ideal necessarily that you're self-medicating with beer and that you should be eating. And I just think love and kindness for yourself at a difficult time is going to go a long way. Because I also hear in in your voice, I hear a kind of the sense that that you should be doing better. And I just I just don't have any sense that what you should be doing is anything other than just having as much care and compassion and love and kindness for Paul
Yeah.
as you possibly can at this time. Like it's early days, brother.
I've heard that, and one thing that's pretty alarming for me. A couple of things are alarming. I mean, I've got a new. I've got two psychologists. One who's really rah rah and very building up. She's really good about helping me feel good about myself and being self-compassionate and all. The other guy is supposed to be more attuned to helping people with grief. And if I'm going to show what's going on here, this was, well, I guess you can't see it. This board I made of things to do, to help out and kind of chunk away at stuff. I've been such a slowpoke about it. But he was more, I think he's pretty much given up in terms of the help he can provide, and it's more like maybe you need to go to an outpatient program, and kind of stuff. And it's like, no.
Well, Paul, I don't know, and we don't on this session. We don't have time for me to find
I know,
out. But
I know.
just the sense I get is that, well, two things. First of all, see, here's the thing. On one level, we can take it almost as read that you're doing what makes sense to you at the moment.
Right.
And then there's another aspect of you that it's funny. There's this line by Robin Hanson. He talks about us. He said you can think of people as having two aspects, and one's kind of uh, the one who's making the decisions, who you might think of as like the king or the president or the prime minister or whatever. And then the other part is the press secretary. And the press secretary's job is to make up a story about it. And so you've got the king who's making the decisions like, look, I'm gonna have a beer, I'm gonna try some breakfast this morning or whatever. And then you've got the press secretaries going, God damn it, you shouldn't be doing like that. You should be doing this and that and the other. And I would just love for you to find a way to bring some care and presence to the beautiful being that's suffered this loss.
Yeah. I mean, I love, and Karen Hand also had a session with Mike Mandel about parts therapy, and I read up about it, and I did, I haven't made all the cards, but I made
Yeah,
manifest.
I'm not talking about that, Paul. I'm just talking about just taking a breath
Yeah,
and being with the fact that you've got a lot of feeling to do at the moment, and it's perfectly safe to do that, and it's very wise to do whatever you know to do to take care of yourself and not do anything to
I don't have
dangerous in
any.
the
I
process.
don't want to. I'm not in a self-destructive mode, but
Good.
I'm stuck. And
I understand. I'm gonna have to pause it here out of
all right,
respect for the
I
time,
understand. I
but
understand. That's
I'll ask
the thing.
Michael to reach out to you afterwards.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it.
Natalie, I just wanted to check in with you before we call that.
Well, I feel worried about Paul now.
Well,
What's happening?
we'll take care of Paul. Don't worry about Paul.
I just want you to know, Paul, it gets better. I lost my house, I lost my mom and my sister all in 2025, and I self-medicated too, and I just stopped because I'm just like, you know what? That's not what they want me to do. They want me to keep going. And your wife wants me to keep going too. And but I feel like I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna jump out there and meet people.
I'll just tell you one other thing too. That might be interesting, as a factoid. It's a little bit of a storytelling. I feel shortchanged every morning if I can't remember my dream. And I had a dream where well, ultimately I went up to this floor and was lying down on a cot. I was paralyzed. And in the distance were people playing, warming up, playing basketball, practice kind of thing, or getting ready for a pickup game. I kept asking people to come and help me. Here, I'm reaching out my hand as far as I can go, and they're still keeping back about a foot or so from coming to my hand. And I was like, okay, I asked this other person, and then finally I'm asking a person, will you fucking at least knock the cot over so I can get on the ground? And that didn't happen either. So I realized the only really helping hand I have is my own. That's what the dream told me. And it was all this anger and hopelessness that came at the end of it. And I don't want to run on and on, but I thought that was a very telling dream.
Yeah, Paul, we're going to be in touch afterwards. Um, I just want to wrap up the session now, but my heart goes with you, Paul. Natalie, do you have anything else to report? I'll follow up with Paul afterwards.
It's okay to be seen.
Well, how did you arrive at that conclusion?
Well, I thought about everyone looking at me right now while I was talking, or while we were talking earlier, you know, and there's always going to be a jerk out there with something to say, just like Michael was talking in the beginning,
Count on it.
like how people were talking bad about the presenter in the chat session. And it's just like, why would you do that? So there's just always going to be a jerk, and like
Yeah.
in our own profession.
Good for you, Natalie.
And I appreciate
Yeah.
your help.
You're so welcome. Thank you for a wonderful demonstration. And Michael and Karen, thank you for having me. And all of you guys, thank you for having me.
Well, you bet. Before we let you go, Jamie, how can people get in touch with you?
Um, My website is jamiesmart.com. I've been working on a movie for the last 3 months, so I've been pretty much unresponsive on all socials, but I'm very responsive on WhatsApp. So if you contact my company through my website, they can get in touch with me. And my books are on Amazon, and I've got a million videos on YouTube and that sort of thing.
What does the movie involve? What's it about? I mean, because that was kind of upfront, and I haven't heard about it yet.
It's Michael, how are we for time? Because I see we're on the hour. I don't want to.
We are, yeah, just about ready to pull out of the
So
station.
I'll put a post in the, uh, I'll put a post, uh,
While he's putting that, I've got to tell you
there we
all,
go.
it really is a very exciting project, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing to watching it materialize.
Yeah, me too. Me too, Michael. We're going hell for leather over the next couple of days.
And
So you can watch.
Michael's one of the main characters in it too, right?
You can watch a draft trailer at review.threshold2035.com. That was where it's not final cut, but it'll give you a sense of it. And the website about the film is at threshold2035.com. And in a nutshell, it's an entry to a competition that the X Prize Foundation have put on because they realize, and this is relevant to hypnotherapists and therapists and change workers, they realized that for the last 30 years, Hollywood has been creating movies that are dystopian visions of the future. And Hollywood is one of the biggest image machines that we have. And the images that we give ourselves of the future have a profound impact on the way we live. And the X Prize Foundation realized that we need to have positive visions of the future. So they've put up a prize for the team that can create the movie that's going to tell a positive story about our future as a species. So I saw that was happening. I was like, I can do that. So that's what we're doing.
All right. Well, it really is exciting. So look it up, you guys. You're going to love this. And Jamie, it has just been a special evening to be here with you. The time has just flown by. Oh my goodness. So thank you so much for what you shared with us. And now what we get to do is we get to give you this wonderful sound bath because we've invited everyone to open their microphones so that all at once, in a great cacophony of love and affection, we can just let you know how much we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jamie.
you so much for being
Thank
with us.
you. Hope to see
Thank
you
you.
again
That was
soon.
great.
Well done.
Okay. Well, good night, everybody, and we will see you
Night, guys.
next month. Cults. It's going to be exciting, and again, look for the Galaxy of the Stars coming September 12th and 13th, and sign up because Jamie has got so much more to share with us, and as do I and Melissa
Michael,
and John.
Michael, you're going to be starting a cult soon too, right?
I'm hoping to. Yeah. Okay.
Good night, y'all.
All righty, buddy. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Thank you so
Night.
much,
Thank
Jamie.
you.
Bye-bye.
Night. And great shirt, Karen Hand.
No, thank you, Shelley.